Hey guys, and welcome to Money Talks News, the podcast. It's a podcast that's supposed to make you richer one day at a time. And by golly, we're going to do that today, aren't we, Aaron?
I hope so.
I hope so. We've just gone through a really tumultuous week, and I want to take a minute, go through what's going on, and then I want to tell you something that I'm just pissed. I'm just pissed, Aaron.
I bet.
And I'll tell you. Okay, listen. In 2018, Donald Trump called himself a stable genius. And I'm here today to tell you that I don't think either one of those things applies to him whatsoever. I don't think he's stable. I don't think he's a genius. And I do think he's gambling with my retirement funds and the retirement money of everybody who's listening to this podcast. Let's recap where we are. Today is April 10th, 2025. Over the last week until yesterday, the 6 days after Trump announced his tariffs, the market lost trillions of dollars of value. The Dow has dropped about, I think it was 12%. The S&P is down an equal amount, and the Nasdaq is down 20%. Now, this personally cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars in my retirement plan. Then yesterday, he bowed to pressure, and he just took all those tariffs away for 90 days. And then the market zoomed upwards. Now, you were watching that yesterday, Aaron, right?
When the
market went up? Okay. Were you tempted to buy?
No, absolutely not. No.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something. For those of you who might have been, the sharpest rallies, and that was one of the sharpest rallies we've had ever.
It was historical almost, I think.
Yep. It's right up there. But let me tell you something. A lot of the sharpest rallies we've ever had were dead cat bounces. And what that means is when it's a bear market, when stocks are falling, every now and then the market gets so oversold that it bounces up. That's what happened yesterday.
Right. You've mentioned that quite a few times on this show, and I've heard it from other people, so that's why I was very wary of it. Yeah.
Yeah, dead cat. It's called that because if you throw down even a dead cat will bounce if you throw it down hard enough. That's where that expression comes from. My wife is not a fan of that expression. We have 3 cats, but nonetheless, that's what it is. Anyway, so yesterday the market went up a whole bunch, and today, as we speak, it's about midway through the sessions. It's 1:30 in the afternoon. The Dow is now down 3.5%. The S&P is down 4%. The Nasdaq's down 5%. What this guy is doing is, let me do this. Let me read something to you and tell me who you think. Tell me who you think said these words. For decades, Japan and other nations have been taking advantage of the United States. The world is laughing at American politicians. Who do you think said that?
I'm going to guess while he was running for office.
Let me make it easy for you. That was in 1987.
Oh,
that was
87.
Nearly 40 years ago. This guy's been hammering on this one thing.
So proof in the pudding that he's been thinking about this for years.
Thinking about it, screaming about it, using the same words to describe it. And now, I'm not going to get into a big argument or big discussion about whether trade deficits are good or bad, because the fact is that inquiring minds can disagree. I mean, there are people who are experts at trade, economists, who think that trade deficits are bad, and there are some who don't think it's that big of a deal. But, let me tell you this, though. Peter Navarro, his trade advisor, who's, by the way, a Harvard PhD trained economist, stood on CNBC. I watched this myself. And he said, every time there's any country that we have a trade deficit with is ripping us off. Those were his words. And that is bullshit of the highest caliber. Either he forgot everything he learned, or he's a liar. Because the truth is, there's always going to be situations where you're going to buy more from a country than you sell to it. The United States is one of the richest countries in the world, and we have 320 million people. Obviously, a little country with 10 million people can't buy as much from us as we buy from them. I mean, that's just stupid. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that tariffs are a bad idea. They can level the playing field because, unfortunately, some countries don't play by the rules. So, and China is a perfect example of one that doesn't. How do you get them to the table? How do you get their attention? You put tariffs on them. But what he's done now is he's made the tariff now from China is 145%. A lot of the things that you buy, folks, are coming from China. They have not built factories in the United States yet to make these things. They don't make toys here yet, and Christmas is coming. Okay, so now basically, when you have 145% tariff, and they have a tariff on us of 84%, I think it is. Okay, so what you've essentially done now is you've got a trade embargo. No one's buying anything from China, and no one's selling anything to China. Now, this is going to hurt American companies too. And I mean, this is one of our largest trading partners. And so to do something like that is, in my opinion, is the height of idiocy. And putting on these policies and then taking them off again, you know what that does? What are you supposed to do? If you're a huge manufacturer in the United States, are you going to, and maybe you've got a factory in Mexico, which, by the way, you built because of his trade agreement that he created in 2018. Okay, now you put $1 billion into a Mexican factory, which is now of no use to you. So now you have to come back to the United States to build a factory. Or maybe what you would do is you'd say, well, geez, this guy put on these giant tariffs a week ago, and then he took them off. It's going to take you 4 years to build a factory. Are you going to base your decision on something that seemingly changes like a man changes his underwear? I mean, that's ridiculous. No one's going to do that. So by being inconsistent, not stating a goal, not saying where the goal line lies, is not going to help anything. And it could send the world economy into a recession. And actually, the odds have increased in the last week markedly from many of the major firms. So, but you know, you've listened to me bitch. Now let me tell you what my biggest bitch is, Aaron. And this is really important. And this is what has me basically paralyzed. And that is this. One guy, one person, not a policy, not a Congress, not a government, one dude can take trillions of dollars off this stock market and then add it back in with a tweet. Now, I don't want to be in a position where somebody can control my destiny, my retirement on a whim. One person. That ain't right. Stocks are supposed to be valued based on their earnings and their future viability as a company. They're not supposed to be based on some guy who I don't even know and don't respect, making some decision in the middle of the day or in the middle of the night. And that's exactly where we are right now.
But it's not like he hasn't been telling people. I mean, the market's been spooked since January. I mean, the S&P 500 has been trickled down, and then all of a sudden, boom, yep, the tariffs are real, and everybody's sold. And it wasn't like he wasn't telling anybody. He was literally on TV, weeks and weeks before going, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. And I think in his mind, even though he's crazy, I think he was saying to everybody, if you're smart and you're listening to me, sell your stocks. Don't hold on to it.
Well, he didn't say sell your. He said buy your.
He can't say it, but he's telling you, I'm going to.
Okay, listen. Here's what
economy.
On Tuesday, 2 days ago, here's a tweet, or a truth, whatever the hell it is. I know what the hell I'm doing, he told Republicans. Then on Wednesday, yesterday, he said, be cool. Everything is going to work out well. I mean, on one day, he's saying tariffs are to negotiate with to get people at the table. And the next day he's saying these tariffs are permanent because we're going to use them to raise revenue to reduce your taxes.
Right.
Well, which one is it? That's what I mean when I say there's no goal. What's the end result that we're aiming for? What are we trying to accomplish? Are we trying to get companies to move back to the United States to manufacture their stuff here and employ our workers? Right. Are we trying to raise revenue to lower taxes? Are we trying to get people to the table so that we can get more fair trade? Tell me what the goal is, and then tell me how we're going to get it. But putting on an 80% tariff or a 46% tariff in one day and then removing it the next, you're not going to accomplish anything like that except make people confused. Like they're going to be like deer in the headlights. They're not going to be able to make a decision because they don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And that is not going to help my retirement account, and it's not going to help your retirement account. I don't trust this guy. I don't trust any guy. I don't care if it's Warren Buffett is the one who's making the market go up and down by trillions of dollars in a day. If I don't trust this guy, and it is one guy, what do I do? What are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm waiting because when China is the second largest economy in the world, I mean, we're talking way more human beings than the little United States. They're not backing down. No. Will they back down?
No, they can't.
And literally, this controls everything on Amazon is sold, everything in Walmart, everything that everybody depends on, everything that's manufactured in our vehicles, household appliances. I mean, you name it. And we have no idea where that's going to play out.
Yes. And when you take, let's say, and our economy is bigger than China's. So we're the 300-pound gorilla in the room.
Yeah.
But nobody in China is buying anything from us now because, they've got an 84% tariff. And actually, look what's going on in Canada. They're not only not buying anything from us, they're pissed.
Right.
These are our best friends.
Right. And you got other countries now are trying to redo their distribution lines. They're saying, okay, well, maybe we won't buy things from America. We'll get our parts from everywhere else.
From China.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's exactly what they'll do.
Yeah, they'll circumvent us.
It's a very, very complicated situation. And I don't mean to make it overly simplistic. It's very difficult to know what to do here. So what I'm doing is nothing. I'm not taking my money out of the stock market, but I'm sure as hell not going to buy anything. I mean, I just can't. I mean, he's frozen me, because I don't know which direction things are going. I mean, these companies are going to start losing money, and they're not. And this is earnings season. It starts tomorrow with the big banks reporting their earnings. And how are they going to make projections? I mean, that's part of what they do. They say, like, here's what we've done in the last 3 months, and here's how we see the future coming. Well, how can they possibly see how the future is going to be? So they can't make projections on what they're going to do. They can't make earnings estimates. So basically, we're all just frozen here because we're at the whim of this guy who, in my opinion, doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And he's surrounded himself with sycophants, and he's got a Congress that's unwilling to buck anything he says. So he's basically the king of the world economy.
And things that happen, tell me if those are true or not, and usually things that happen now at the lower level where people are buying things, takes a long time to trickle through the economy.
Oh, yeah.
So if what he's doing now, you hear reports about people are stocking up on supplies and buying things that might go up before the thing. But then what happens is they all of a sudden stop buying the rest of the year. They slow down. They start saving more. And that's going to have a trickle effect down the road.
Yeah, it is. And I was just mentioning other countries and their response to us. I just saw this on the NBC Nightly News last night. The trips from Canada to the United States are down 40%.
Wow.
These people are pissed. And other countries are too. I mean, there were, I think Europe was down 20%. And these are people who stood shoulder to shoulder with us on 9/11, in Afghanistan, in the Gulf War. And we're telling them, screaming at them, that they are no more important to us than Iran. I mean, to me, this is insane behavior. But again, that's not financial so much. But I guess, the end of all this is this. I think what happened in the last week was stupid. It was somebody not just shooting themselves in the foot. It was them shooting me and you and anybody in the stock market in the foot and everybody in the world in the foot. And to me, that's just dumb.
No, I don't disagree. So I ask you this. So if he puts these tariffs on, he believes this is going to, help him with negotiations and get an in, which you can see a little bit in Panama. We threaten them, we bully them around, and all of a sudden they go, okay, great, fine, you can put your military bases here, and okay, fine, you have your sovereignty. So if this is his game he's playing, and yet you think, okay, well, he definitely doesn't want to cause a recession, does he? Is this his ultimate goal?
I don't think he wants to cause a recession. That would be pretty stupid.
So if he's going to flip on a dime when a bunch of people yell at him about what he's doing, to the stock market, and he flips around, if there's a hint of a recession, whether he realizes he's causing it or not, you think he'll switch gears and go, okay, I'm going to change everything because I don't want to cause a recession.
I think he's already causing a recession. But yes, ostensibly what happened yesterday was proof that if things get bad enough, then he's going to turn around and do the opposite. He removed those tariffs. I'm sorry, he postponed those tariffs, and then he raised China's to 145%. So he obviously did do that. And this is another thing, too. We're supposed to be relying on the people he's surrounded himself with. And I'll be damned if not one, but at least two of them, Bessa and Navarro, both got on TV yesterday and said, oh, no, the market had nothing to do with him reversing course. Well, that's just plain unadulterated bullshit. It's exactly why he reversed course. And I would assume that when he drives the economy into recession, he'll reverse course again. Now, I could be wrong about all this stuff. This is my opinion. I've been doing this for 40 years, and this is the first year that I've been doing it where one person can move the market by trillions of dollars with a stroke of a click on a tweet, But nonetheless, I could be wrong, and Trump's goals may be laudable. But I'm going to leave you with something else, too. I was just checking this out the other day on CNBC. What do you think the average wage is for an American auto worker? I'm not going to make you guess. It's $70 an hour. I would assume that includes benefits, but whatever, $70 an hour. How much is it in Canada? It's 40. How much is it in Mexico? It's 6. Okay, so you bring all this manufacturing back to the United States, and you're guaranteed to have higher prices. Now, that may be okay. I don't mind employing my neighbors. I don't mind paying a little extra, but don't fool yourself into thinking that this is going to all work out and then everybody's, it's going to be all wine and roses. Because first of all, bringing manufacturing back to the United States is going to take years, not months. And then the prices have got to be higher. That's why it's overseas.
Even by that, I mean, if things are built here and we're trying to sell it elsewhere, nobody's going to be able to afford it.
Yeah, and one of the things Trump's doing is he's going like, okay, we're buying all these BMWs and Mercedes, but they're not buying any of our stuff. Well, maybe they don't want gas guzzling pickup trucks. I mean, you've got to. What they've done is they've created cars that Americans want to buy. Are we creating cars that Europe wants to buy? Are we going to force them to buy our stuff if it's not stuff that they want? I mean, this is a very nuanced thing. I said this last time you and I had on a podcast. We had the opportunity to pay extra for furniture and for clothes. I mean, right now you're buying a shirt for $10. It would cost you $40 if it was made in the United States. If that's what you wanted to do, you always could have done that.
Well, some of these auto manufacturers are corporate conglomerates that build their own separate vehicles over there in these other countries anyway. But still, he's messing with all of that too.
Yeah. So anyway, we don't want to. I apologize. I've drone on much longer than I intended to. But all I want to say is this: I've never been in a situation where one person controls the outcome of my retirement account, and I'm not happy with it. I'm very unhappy with it, and as a result, I'm not going to sell. Because of what just happened yesterday, the market zoomed up. And besides that, I'm a long-term investor, even though I'm almost 70 years old. Oh, another thing one of his advisors said too, is that, people who are about to retire, because he was asked this specifically, what about people who are about to retire and they're, watching their savings dwindle? And he said, people who are about to retire don't watch their savings, don't watch the stock market. And to that, I say this, yes, they do. I certainly do. So anyway, it's Alice through the looking glass, as far as I'm concerned. So what I'm going to do is nothing. And I've been waiting to buy. I actually am you maybe remember at the beginning of this year, I said I thought the market was overvalued. I wasn't buying for that reason. Now I'm not buying because there's a horse in the hospital.
Right.
So I'm just going to sit on my hands and hope for the best. And I really hope that everybody else out there is doing the same thing. Do not sell into do not ever panic. We said that last time we got together. Anything to add?
I want to ask you is because I really never invested in the stock market that much, hardly ever done other things as I've said in this podcast. But because everything was at a 52-week low or below, I nibbled a little bit. That's because I don't have anything.
When are you talking?
When it was at the really low. And
you mean this week?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so I did that thinking that okay, well, this is 15 years.
Yeah.
In 15 years. But I still, Sonia's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm still setting aside a whole bunch because I still don't think it's at its low. I think it's going to go further.
Yeah,
I don't know what you think about that assessment.
I'm glad you brought that up, Aaron, because I've been so definitive about how crazy all this is. I never buy anything here. The truth is, if you're not invested or you're underinvested and you're looking for bargains, there's nothing wrong. I mean, and actually, I lied too, because I actually, as the market was going down before it became this giant thing, I did buy a little more S&P 500 index fund, but I'm buying. Don't buy more than a quarter of what your intended position will be, and that way, if you're going to buy 100 shares of something, buy 25. Or if you're going to buy, $10,000 worth of S&P 500 index, buy 2,500. That way, if the market goes up and Stacy was wrong and this guy's a genius, at least you participated. But if the market goes down, you get plenty of dry powder and you're going to keep averaging in. So that's a great thing for you to do. I'm pretty fully invested, so I'm not going to be doing a whole bunch more of that until I get a little more clarity on what the hell's going on. But if you're, if you've got that, just as long, like I said last time, if you're able to sleep at night, everything's fine. If you're not able to sleep at night, you got too much money in the market. But there's nothing wrong with nibbling here. Absolutely not. Just make sure you get good quality stuff. If you're going to buy individual stocks, company with a moat, a company that's going to be very difficult to compete with, like an Apple or a Microsoft, like that. Don't do speculative stuff. If you're going to buy S&P 500 index fund, good for you. do that, but just do it a little bit at a time.
Yep. Cool.
Good
All
to
right,
go?
with that, good to go.
All right. Well, you guys be successful investors out there. And if you want, if nothing else, I may be pissed, but at least I'm interested. This is interesting stuff that's going on. And folks, remember to follow us, tell your friends, get a whole bunch of people to watch this podcast. Maybe Trump will see it and give me a call. Not likely. But anyway, do follow us and like us and review us. And if you do have comments,
And
put
give us
them
a thumbs
underneath.
up.
Yeah, there you go. Put it, and if you have comments, if you disagree with me, if you think I'm an idiot, you won't be the first person. Leave a comment underneath the video, and I'll get back to you, unless you are really mean. Anyway, folks, have a great day, and we'll see you right here next time.